Hey friend, in this video, I'm going to show you a really cool mixing tip that basically took an hour off of each of one of my mixes, if not more. Okay, but before we get into that, just real quick below, I have a mixing cheat sheet made for live worship recordings down below. And who the heck am I? My name's Lucas. I own Produce Perform, and I am all about mixing live worship recordings, those intimate moments that you have on Sundays, and turning them into maybe what sounds like an album and that you can release for your own church, or maybe you're a worship leader or whatever. So this channel is all about that, and I have such a huge passion for the Lord and for the intimate moments that He creates in churches all over the world that need to get released. So I'm here to help you do that. So let's dive into this today. So this is going to be probably a really short and easy tip, but it is really important. So whenever you're starting your mix, and I don't know if you guys have like a template or something, but most of the time, whenever you're starting a mix, you kind of get your gains ready, and then you start EQing and compressing after you kind of get all your levels set. But what most people do is they go back and they'll go to the start of the song here. Okay, and then they'll hit play. And let's just say we'll drop into the verse 1 here.
I remember the moments with no words to say.
And so what do we got right here? We got some pads, we got some keys, acoustic guitar, and a little bit of electric, and no drums, right? Like it maybe some cymbal action. And you start EQing and you start getting things kind of set, and you're kind of chugging along, and eventually you get to like verse 2, right, where there's a lot more going on. Right, and then chorus 2 comes, the bridge comes, and then all of a sudden you get to this last chorus, and everything drops in. You got as many synths, and you got your drums are going full hard. You got percussion. You've got all these extra guitars, the bass and the keys. Like they're all hitting a little bit harder. You have the most amount of harmonies. The room mics are the loudest there, really creating a whole ambience. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I can't hear the vocal, or I'm losing the snare, or whatever you're trying to get to stand out. The mix just kind of doesn't feel right. It feels crushed, or it feels like thin or something, because you've been mixing up until that point the parts that are not very big. So how I start every mix is on the biggest part of the song. Okay, like and I usually start with the vocals. Okay. Most people, it doesn't matter what you start with, but I start with the vocals, and I will actually come in here to this last chorus and mix the vocals here first, because I need to EQ, I need to compress, I need to get those vocals to stand out above everything else, because that's what ultimately matters. Same with the drums. I want the bass to be gritty and big at the bottom, and I won't know if it's going to sound like that in this ending, the climax of the song, until I get there. And so that's why I start here. So find the biggest part of your song and start mixing here, because you don't want your mix to sound all convoluted. Like, so for example, this song gets really, really big here, where they're building out of the bridge right into this chorus. Okay, and if I wouldn't have EQ'd, if I wouldn't have started here, it wouldn't sound this big. Because what I tend to do as a mixer, and maybe you do this as well, is when you're mixing, you want it to be like loud, right? You want it to be a good volume. Well, if you start mixing here in the early sections, trying to get that loud volume, that power, you're gonna end up maxing out your headroom on your master bus, and then there's nowhere to go. on this last chorus. You don't have any room, you don't have any way to push. And if you do push it, then you're really just pushing into the compressors more, which is making your mix sound more compressed, most of the time over compressed, and it doesn't sound natural. It's not breathing. So I know this tip is like overly simple, and I know this video is like 5 minutes long, but start with the climax of the song and then work your way back. Because what also this is going to do is your EQ and your compression are mostly going to sound good, most likely going to sound good be in those earlier stages where there's not as much going on. And what you're also doing is that this biggest part of the song, since you're mixing it in the proportional volume levels that you need to hit your master bus correctly, whenever you come back, you actually have headroom to then push things or pull things back in those verse twos or the lower choruses or the bridge and everything. It actually allows you to have that space so the mix can breathe. And so start with the climax of the song. Okay, start with it at every single time. I'm telling you, it's a game changer for me because most of my work gets done in this area, like within like the first hour or hour and a half of my mixing. And then as I work my way back, it's minimal things like, one or two little things that need to be changed. Maybe I'll automate a different EQ onto a certain thing so it sounds different in this. But man, I'm telling you, if you want to save time mixing, this is the way to go. I'm telling you 100%. Do this. Okay. That's it for today. I know it's a super simple video, and I know you guys are used to me doing some complex stuff, but that's like, I want you guys to take this and I want you to start on it today. So like if you're starting a new mix or if you've been mixing something, start from scratch and just start with the biggest part of the mix and then work your way back. It's a total game changer. And that's pretty much it, guys. Don't forget about the mixing cheat sheet down below. Absolutely free. It has EQ and compression starting points. Super cool. And there is just something I do want to say at the end of this video. So I am recording this video the day before it gets released because I've gotten behind and been very, very, very busy. But there's a lot of things that have happened in the last week, especially here in the United States. And there's other things happening across the world. And I'm not going to say exactly what those are, especially if you're watching this months later or years later after it's been posted. But there's a lot of heaviness right now. There's a lot of bad things that happened last week, and it was very, very heavy. And I lost sleep over what has happened in this past week and what's really been revealed in the world. And honestly, I was on a flight on my way back to my studio and back home, and God was just really pressing in on me how important we are. And by we, I mean like the worship leaders, the musicians, the audio engineers, the people literally taking what he's speaking to them and turning it into a song so that people can get to know him better and in a more intimate way. And so I've really felt this pull in the last week or so, really the last like 5 days, that we're very important. And I'm not saying like we need to be boastful or like we're more important than anybody else. Nothing like that. It's just God is really calling us into facilitating and releasing worship of him in excellence. And I just think it needs to be said that like, as cool as this mixing tip is, right? It's like, check where your heart is. Check where your relationship with the Lord is, because that is actually going to be revealed back into your mixing, back into your music producing, your playing, your singing, whatever it is, because the world needs it right now. The world needs people's hearts to be in love with the Lord. And that means including us. Even the people be sitting behind a computer and moving faders and touching, moving knobs or whatever. Like, we're more important than I think we realize, because there's a lot of distractions out in the world. And if we can produce something that redirects people's eyes back to the Lord, then that's more important than anything else. So just keep that in mind. I encourage you guys just to do whatever you're doing, whether it be producing music, playing, singing, whatever. Just do it with excellence and keep your eyes on the Lord, and he will guide you. I'm telling you, 100%. All right. Thank you guys. Check out the video. I love you, and I'll see you on the next one.